Evening, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Friday Night Live of That Mill podcast. Hope you're doing well. My name's Omar. Joining me as always, my regular co-hosts. First up is Mickey Simpson, the ex-fan on the board. Hello, Mickey.
Hello, Omar. How you doing, fella? You all right?
I'm not bad, pal. You sound nice and crisp today on audio, and we'll keep that between me and you for now. Why that sounds the case, but
why you know you want to dig me out. You know you do it every week, and it's a running joke between everyone and all our listeners, mate. That you just want to dig me out. That unfortunately, I'm not as down with the kids as it is.
I just think we've managed to come across, something on here, where we managed to basically spot the flaws of Mickey's audio setup, and today he'll sound crisp. So if anyone in the chat wants to just comment on how nice he sounds, and anyone listening to the audio afterwards on the podcast format, be sure to do so. Let's bring in Mr. Fizzler, Neil Fizzler. How you doing, Neil? You're right. You're on mute before you start talking, just so you're aware. But how you doing, Neil? You're right.
Yeah, well, I'm not Mickey. I would have unmuted myself before I started to talk. No, I'm pretty good. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's had a good week. And in answer to Joe Zampa, loving this gangster music. Joe, you follow me on Twitter, son. You know what my taste in music is. It is definitely not that shit.
So Neil's already referred to the comments. So yeah, let's bring a few in. So obviously, just about up the gangster music. I think it's just a little beat to start the show. I think it's a nice little fine thing. I think, was it your doing, Mickey, or probably Stu?
I think it was mine. It was mine.
No, it was Mickey. I think, yeah.
But yeah, just, a nice little tune to it. But yeah, evening to everyone in the chat. If you're not already saying hello, be sure to do so. Hello, Kevin. How you doing? Regular viewer. Hope you're well. Darren, hope you're well as well. Darren Swan. And also Gary Swan, if you're listening. You've been tagged in it. So hello to you too. If you're watching, be sure to say hello. Hello, Barry. Hope you're well, mate. I hope everything's fine your side. Same to Connor. And obviously Adam Scanlan. I mean, I guess he's talking about me there because obviously I was late last week, but some things can't be helped. Hello, Keith. Hope you're well. Good evening to you too. Hope you're well, and obviously everyone in the chat. And yeah, I think also Mick M. Hope you're doing well, mate. So yeah, I mean, today we're just going to talk about various few topics that come out throughout the week. Through Twitter sphere, so to speak, and also News at Den, a couple of articles, and also the club putting a couple of statements out for us to talk over. We're not going to go into too much detail. We're just going to give our opinions on what's going on and, just some talking points from there. So obviously we'll bring the show to you guys. If you want to interact and give us something to talk about as well, be sure to comment it below. I guess we need to obviously mention, I think Connor's actually mentioned it here. We've not done a show this week. It's been tough, isn't it, watching us a lot, I suppose, recently. Let's talk briefly on Saturday's game just gone, Neil. We lost last week at home to Blackburn 2-0. Not great, was it?
It was a cesspit of mediocrity. Yeah, it was absolutely rancid from start to finish. They should be thoroughly ashamed of themselves picking up their wages this week. Yeah, they've robbed us blind yet again. They were absolutely fucking awful.
I guess the wheels just came off the bus on Saturday, Neil.
The wheels came off the bus. Fucking, they fell off the fucking bus, mate. That fucking thing was skidding on rims for fucking best part of an hour, mate.
They did not only come off the bus, yeah? They were last seen heading down the old Kent Road.
Mate,
they were at a fucking rate of knots.
The reason we didn't, that's it. The reason we didn't do a show on is because realistically, we just didn't think we needed to put you all through 90 minutes or 60 minutes. It would have probably turned into 3 hours worth of ranting, to be fair, mate. But we did put an Into the Lions guest out, an ex-player, George Jacks, which is a good interview. There's also there's a pre-show clip as such on our YouTube channel. Again, if you're not checked out the YouTube channel, it's that Millwall Podcast. Make sure you subscribe. We put videos up, a couple of videos a week up, and we put the previews for Into the Lions Den. So always check that out. So if you do need us, there is a back catalogue on there, and there's a back catalogue across our podcast shows if you've missed us this week. So I do apologise, Connor.
I guess the reality is, though, we do a podcast and we try and give us a schedule to stick to, but we're the same as everyone else, really, that's tuning in to watch this. We watch Millwall, and at times you don't want to talk about Millwall because, you watch a performance out on Saturday, and let's be honest, it wasn't great from start to finish, and that's the sad reality of it. But, hopefully we can bounce back tomorrow. It's the hope that always gets you being a Millwall fan. And obviously tomorrow's another chance for us to put some wrongs right, and we'll go from there. I mean, just to bring back to the chat, a couple of people that are latecomers into here today. As always, Gavin Smith on the drinking shout. How you doing, Gav? I hope you're well, mate. Check beers for me, Praha, Strapperman, and Pilsner. I've gone with blackcurrant. Mickey, I think you're on the black currant as well, aren't you, at the moment?
Yes, mate. I am. I'm on the blackcurrant in a Sam
Yeah.
Miguel glass.
There you go. I mean, I've got a Carlin glass. I mean, I'm not a Carlin drinker myself, so I've got to distinguish that for a moment because Carlin is atrocious. But I've got a Carlin pint glass here nonetheless. Neil, what have you got to hand? What's your tipple tonight?
We've got a can of Red Bull for later, just in case I struggle with any of Mickey's stories.
Just for advertising purposes, that's a can of Monster, not Red Bull.
Yeah.
So
Also,
don't worry.
Monster, yeah. And I've got a glass that I had with one of our favourite that I had with dinner.
I have brought
Fucking
my sober trail for 2021. So I've had a couple of beers in the last couple of weeks or so, but not anything too jazzy. Like I said, once the beer gardens are open, I'll be there in full force. Don't worry, making sure to make up for lost time. But for the moment, I'm just, going a bit teetotal for the time being. But yeah, also even to Alan, hope you're doing well, mate. Also Josh, I hope you're doing well as well, pal. Also John London. And there's some more shouts in here. I think that's not a Red Bull. John's quick to tell you that.
Yeah. No, sorry. I'm actually looking at a Red Bull book in front of me.
I see.
So subliminally, it was. Yeah, but still don't get away from the pit of mediocrity from last week, does it? Let's face it.
Do you know what? I think what I'll do is this weekend I'm going to get on the phone to our sponsor of Into the Lions Den and get them to send us some more beer. Send some to you, Omar. Send some to us. So we're making next Friday's show. I think we'll make it sponsored by them next Friday, and we'll get some beers and see if they give us a giveaway to give to someone who maybe gives us the best comment or something of the night.
To shed some light on that, Mickey's obviously mentioning our nice little sponsor we've got there for Into the Lions Den, the Brit Hop. I think Mickey got sent some a little while ago and he's meant to dish me out half of it. I never saw the light of day of it. So, I mean, yeah, if you want to get some more and obviously send it to my house this time.
It's still here, but I will get it sent to your house.
Maybe you can get us this time next week and I'll have a beer on the show. How about that? So,
if you fucking got off your ass and fucking popped in every time you go over Dartford Tunnel, you cunt, and just fucking said, Mick, I'm outside, give me the beer, I'd fucking bring it to you and then you'd have it rather than moan at me live on air and make me look like a cunt.
Some good shouts on here anyway. Camden Pale Ale for Joe Zampa. Also, we've got Dark Fruits as always for Adam. Brewdog Lost Lager. Yep. I've got actually some of them downstairs, so I might maybe crack open one of them.
Oh, yeah, the free ones. Yeah, I gave up on that waiting list, mate, because I was number 59,812, I think it was.
I was 51,000. It took about 90 minutes to get in, but hey, it was free beer. Mickey's right there. Free beer is free beer. Well, I think I'm not sure. I've not actually tried it, so I can't comment on it. I think it was a new thing they've done, but yeah, obviously in that sense, it's free. Free beer is free beer, like we say. Even to you too, Stu. Hope you're doing well. He's not drinking yet, so I guess he's on. Was it the Rosie Lee? Probably on a cup of tea, maybe. But yeah, and also evening to Keith.
Stuart's drinking fucking iced coffee. That's what all the Yanks do in it. Iced coffee or iced tea. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, it could be worse. You could have Biden as your president, Stuart?
Should we turn
it could be even worse. Yeah, but he could actually have Meghan and fucking Harry as his neighbours.
Do you know what?
Really political now we are.
Do you know what? They're not that far away from him, to be fair.
But yeah, I mean, I suppose we'll talk about this one quickly from Barry. I don't know if anyone saw the story this week. We was getting links with Luke McCormick, Chelsea midfielder, youngster who's on loan at Bristol Rovers at the moment. I've not seen a lot of him personally, but from what I gather, and I have a couple of people that I've asked about this one just to get more shed some light on it. Bristol Rovers fan and also a Chelsea fan, and they've both said that he's a good player, but he's not like a bulldog terrier midfielder that maybe we'd be looking for. Maybe a bit of a pretty footballer. So I mean. Not to suggest he wouldn't fit into here, but I think, when I'm thinking of a midfielder from Chelsea, I'm thinking of George Saville type. And from what I gather about Luke McCormick, not to write him off before he's even signed for us, don't know, a bit hesitant about it. I don't know what either two of you heard about him, or do you know anything of him, Neil, at all? Have you heard the name before?
Well, the only Luke McCormick I've heard of is the convicted murderer down here at Plymouth Argyle, the goalkeeper.
I remember that one.
But to be honest, I've got no idea about this fella. I haven't seen him play. I don't even know where the link came from. Was it Lee Evans on Hoff by any chance? Because his success record is pretty poor. So I don't know.
Mickey, you're on mute if you want to talk. I'm not sure if you are planning to talk, but it looked like you're starting to talk.
No, get the yellow ties out, mate. Do you know what I mean? Be a member of that club. Yeah, no, I love the Lee Evans transfers, mate. They're always a good listen or a good read, mate. So yeah, all good.
Josh has gone off a bit topic here and gone to talk about the F1. I think it was testing today, which I was watching as well. So there was
I can't fucking stand it. It's not even
I love the
sport.
Formula One. I'm a big fan of it. I do like the Formula One.
It's absolute shit.
I think it's not the same as it
even
was.
sport.
It's not the same as it was.
Fucking cars going around a track 50, 60, 70 times, yeah? I'd rather watch fucking paint dry than watch that shit.
It's real life scare electric.
Well, yeah, it's obviously lost its kind of, I think, niche, I suppose, maybe in recent years. It's obviously lost its V12 engine power and the sound of it, and a lot of people get disappointed by that. But yeah, I think Stuart's had his right reply. He's saying he's on the water, and then a middle finger up to you, Mickey. So I'm sure you give him one back, sure enough. But yeah, David's made a good point here. If we get steer back to Luke McCormick, I mean, if it means Woods going back to Stoke, yes, we sign him. I think Woods was speaking to news at the end of the week, I saw, and he was in the dark as much as everyone else is as to what his future holds. I think he's got another year left on his contract at Stoke City, which a lot of people didn't know of when we signed him last summer on loan again. And obviously, you know, it's in a sense there, it could be a Woods replacement, maybe McCormick, if he comes in. Like I said, he's a bit of a passer of the ball. And that's maybe a Ryan Woods replacement there, maybe ready and waiting. What do you reckon, Neil?
Well, I've read some comments from Rowett today that he isn't going to go back in for Alan Campbell, the Motherwell midfielder, that he's actually looking for a goal-scoring, attacking type of midfielder, which would actually rule Woods out, I think, wouldn't it? Because, yeah, but how many goals has he scored with us? One, maybe one assist? I don't know.
I don't think he's even scored for us. I'm happy to be proven wrong. I don't think Ryan Woods has scored a goal for us.
Yeah, no, I don't think he has either. So that would rule him out, I think. He's obviously got his targets in mind. I see that Gavin said that it was Alan Nixon and the Sun that broke the McCormick story. Alan Nixon, for those that might be thinking, Alan Nixon and the Sun, he's got very, very, very good football contacts. Mm-hmm. Very good contacts in his column on the Sunday. And invariably, there is a lot of substance in stuff that Alan Nixon comes up with. So I definitely wouldn't rule that one out.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I think he's at Reluctant Nico on Twitter. Obviously, Alan Nixon there, like you mentioned, and he does seem to be quite the ITK person, especially for northern clubs. So, I mean, McCormick is obviously a Chelsea boy, so we won't go as far to say that. But I know he does seem to have.
He might have a northern agent. Yeah, he might have a northern agent or an agent that Alan Nixon talks to. So I would say that there's definitely interest there if that's come from Alan Nixon.
We'll have to wait and see. I think Gary Rowett's obviously looking to reshape the squad. A lot of talks in the summer about what's to come. I guess it leads me on a little bit to next season. And obviously this week, the club also released a statement, chaps. I mean, I glossed over it. I'm not going to pretend to read all of it, but it was via Steve Kavanagh, like a column. They penned it.
Did you gloss over it, or did you just fall asleep through it?
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, it wasn't much of a nothingness, as you know. I'm sure Mickey, you said to me previously about this statement, but yeah, I think it was more of the same. Obviously, encouraging us to keep buying on iFollow, and obviously, kind of put forward what their plans are for next season. They're hoping to bring out memberships and season ticket forms and applications for over the coming weeks for next season, which is promising. Obviously, no one really knows whether or not we'll be able to go back, but if we believe what the government's saying, hopefully next season we should have a full house then. I mean, that's what everyone's hoping for. I know I've missed it desperately, and I kind of don't bother missing it anymore, if that makes sense. Like, obviously when I talk about it, I realise how much I miss it, but I try not to think about it anymore. But yeah, I mean, what did you make of the statement, Mickey, from Mr. Kavanagh the other day?
Look, it's good that we're getting statements out from the CEO, and we need, it's good to have, fairly regular statements coming out. But they are just, they are what they are. They're just PR exercises to keep telling you to keep doing stuff. If you look at it on a business point of view, the fans haven't been there for over a year. Yes, there was a couple of games, but realistically, the fans haven't been there at the end of the year. And the biggest concern, what's always been, and I've spoken to the club at the beginning of lockdown, the very first lockdown, that, if this lockdown was to continue for a long period, how are the club going to be able to focus on retention and obviously enticing people back? Because we said it, if you go back to last March when we first started, Omar, we had conversations about people realising how much money they're saving and watching it on iFollow, etc. I know allegedly iFollow is going to be looking to stop once we come out of lockdown and whatnot, but the biggest problem you're going to have is people looking and going, well, actually, I'm not spending £400 every other weekend or £400 a weekend going out on the piss, going to Millwall, etc., and that money's sitting in people's pockets. So it's going to be hard to get people back. We all know of people who are watching it on iFollow now and lost interest with everything what's gone on with the club at the moment and all that. Will that change? I don't know. Home games and whatnot, I think more people will probably end up looking to try go away games with everything what's gone on and whatnot. So, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those. I think it's just going to be, when we do go back, it's going to be football, but not as we know it probably.
I'd even take a home game where I can go down the 5 Bells. I'll motorbike it on a Saturday sometimes, but it's been rebranded in recent years, and I could even take a home game just so I can go back out and have the same faces that I see on a regular basis. It's obviously missed it a lot. We've spoken about it loads of times before. Neil, an interesting part in the statement, which I'll read word for word, just a paragraph. Kavanagh paid tribute to John Berylson. He said, I cannot articulate just how indebted we are to our chairman, John Berylson, for the way in which he continues to support the club year after year, but never more so than the past 12 months. In my view, we have the best chairman in English football for so many different reasons, and hopefully he too can be back at matches sooner rather than later when restrictions are lifted, especially as he's now fully vaccinated. Obviously, American over there, probably getting American vaccines, different ages, but what of John Berylson? I mean, we've spoke about him before. I know the chat probably could give us some testaments of him as well, but a proper Millwall man, isn't he? And obviously he's really stuck by the club in recent years.
I won't say what not as much as Mickey said in his last little thing. I think that little thing in the corner's 31 whatnots, wasn't it, Mick? In all that. Berylson, what can you say about John Berylson? He stuck by the club through thick and thin when probably other chairmen would have walked for whatever reason. But let's face it, it's costing him a lot of money being chairman of Millwall every year, isn't it? Millions and millions of pounds that he's pumping in. Okay, cynically, I'm going to say that he's going to make hell of a lot of money with the regeneration, so it's speculation to accumulate. But I defy anybody to have a go at John Berylson. Okay, we'd all like him to dig deeper and give us a lot more money for that marquee player that we're all crying out for a decent striker that we're all crying out for. But I can't sit here and say anything bad about John Berylson. John Berylson, probably I think Mick Saunders is right that he probably is the best chairman in this club's history, and we would be absolutely in the shit without him.
It'd be interesting. I mean, you mentioned about the regeneration, but I mean, maybe Mickey, this is more your forte, obviously, with your dealings as a public figure around the club for a few years and helping with the Defend Our Den project. I'm trying to say with a straight face, but no,
I mean, saved it. You can't. Me and a few others, mate. So don't fucking give it. Have a bit of respect, Omar. You're fucking 20 years younger than me. Have a bit of respect for your elders, will you?
Mickey Come on. Found out he was 20 years younger.
Simpson Den. It's going to be renamed.
Do you know what?
I'll get to my point first. One second.
One minute. The most depressing thing today was realising that Omar was born in 1995. That was the most depressing thing I've had all week.
I look well for it, I think, as well. But anyway, no, what I was going to say, Mickey, when I was going to bring you in there, pal, was because Neil's talking about he's just speculating to accumulate, the regeneration. Millwall don't necessarily... Do you think Millwall will go up in value because of this regeneration project in your eyes? And I know this is going off topic a little bit, and maybe the chat can give their own opinion again, like I said. But, we're going to take it somewhere here. But, is the club going to go up in value? Because we don't own all the land at the Den either.
We don't own anything.
We don't own any of it, in fact, do we? So, we have a more of a say of what's going to go on in this direct impact around the Den. But then maybe aside from that, it might not be as hunky-dory as maybe what some might say.
The reason with the regen with the fight when AMS started the fight was that we thought it was unfair that there was a whole regen going on and Millwall weren't being invited to that table. So we kicked up, got Steve Norris 45 grand libel case, and a few other people to leave different boards and highlight and shine lights in different areas to embarrass people and whatnot. And eventually, we managed to get to the stage where the council cancelled the sale agreement. There was a sale agreement around the land, what basically meant that the land with Millwall lease, the council had entered into an agreement with renewal to give that land to renewal, and now allegedly that's all gone. 2 years ago or whatever, that was allegedly put forward that the council could get out of it and obviously look at giving Millwall a long lease and everything else. But Millwall actually don't own anything. They don't own the ground because obviously it's leased from Lewisham. They don't own the car park. They don't own the community centre land. They don't own any of the parcel of land, what they sit on and what they wanted to be able to develop themselves. It's all on a long lease. And the problem you've got from that is that we don't own the training ground unless it's differed, which I can double check at some point. But we sold that to I think it was Oxford University pension fund. So there was an option to buy it back, but I don't know if they had brought it back yet or not. So, it's what's the club financially worth to John Berylson? I don't know, because if you don't actually own anything apart from the name, then potentially it's probably not a lot. But the money he's put into it. Personally, I can't fault John Berylson and what he's done to the club. Why? Is he here for the regen? I don't know. The regen I can't see being completed for at least another 10, maybe longer years anyway, to be fair. So he is going to be in it for the long haul. But as a person, he's good as gold. I've spoken to him plenty of times on the phone, everything else. I've been to the AGMs where people have questioned his loyalty to the club, and he always sits there and Mick, blah, blah, blah. And he doesn't take money out. He converts it into shares, but, even the loans he converts, he is a good chairman.
You're flexing
take a breath,
so
Mickey.
hardly. He's flexing so hardly, isn't he? No, he doesn't take a breath, but he's flexing. Mick, when I'm like this.
No, it's not. No. Look, I haven't.
Compulsory purchase order was the word that you were looking for.
No, it wasn't. It was. No, it wasn't.
Anyway,
compulsory purchase. See, yeah, but that's not the sale agreement. Yeah, but anyway. that was all to do with the sales agreement as well. So yeah.
So I think the chat's realising as well. Just I've missed out on a few times here, but a few previous heroes. But yeah, I mean Sheringham, Cascarilla, and Hurlock, and Carter, and the likes of Alex Ray, they're all names to me. Unfortunately, I can go back and hear these shows that Neil does with George Jacks and all these sort of people. They're just names to me. I'm sorry to say it, but I live more in the modern day with the likes of Ali Foussini's and John Marquis's. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I've been treated quite well, and Carlos Fengera, exactly. So I've been treated quite well. But back to Berylson as well, though.
Gary Taylor Fletcher and
exactly, and Maya
people like that, yeah,
and Renegade. You know what I mean? But on Berylson, am I wrong in thinking, or am I right? His son is involved in the board as well, or is he not?
James is involved now, so yeah, he'll end up. Ideally, I think John wants him to carry on doing it because obviously John's getting older, and these transatlantic flights because he likes coming to watch and all that. I mean, don't forget, he knew nothing about Millwall when he came in. I mean, depending where you look, there was speculation that he was possibly looking at Leeds or he was possibly looking at West Ham, and then he come to us through Discovery. I think it was probably the regen option what probably brought him to us, but I think he was possibly sold a bit of a pup at the beginning, but he fell in love. He got the bug, and I think from then on. But I think in his time he's been there, he's invested over £70 million, and this last year I think he's been investing about £1 million, £1.5 million a month because I think he's been paying the wage bill.
We had Kieran for the price of football, didn't we? Go through it with us, Mickey. Yeah. We said roughly it's about £1.5 million a month we're losing, ain't we, as a club? So, which he's obviously writing off his losses and just putting it into debt, isn't he? I suppose in that sense, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, John as a person, I mean, his family are they're not short of a few bob, but they're good. I mean, depending where you read, allegedly he looks after cancer patients who can't afford cancer treatment in America. He invests into his family, invests into a hospital or two out there where they do stuff. So, they are great. They do, support a lot of good causes and whatnot. And I think I think he just likes Millwall. He likes the ethics. I mean, he's an ex-Royal Marine. He's military. He's very loyal, and he's been loyal to us. And I don't have a bad word to say. And I think hopefully he'll get all his money back once the regen starts, and then see what happens there. But honestly, with the regen, I don't think that's going to happen for another 10, 15 years at least.
I think we're going down memory lane here with Joe and Alan here, talking about John Fashanu playing for Millwall. Again, I know John Fashanu for more reasons than just football personally. Obviously, TV star in the early 2000s and late 90s, wasn't he? But yeah, again, before my time. What was it again? Awuga! Is that with John Fashanu? Was that not him? Awuga! But yeah, so there you go. Like my time, all these players, I've missed out on, but hey, it is what it is. And Joe, you're right. I have missed out on the old den. I'd have loved to have been there or seen it once in my lifetime, but my dad's told me his stories about it. I've still got his old ticket from the last game against Bristol Rovers in a frame somewhere, and I've also got a key ring of it. So, I've got some sort of history, I suppose, in that sense. But yeah, crazy really, isn't it? I think people, I do miss out on the old den because you hear all the stories about it, and obviously all the players that used to play there and the unbeaten runs we went through in the 70s and stuff like that. So yeah, it's unfortunate, 60s. But 60s. Was it four seasons, wasn't it?
59 games if you've actually paid attention to the George Jacks interview, Omar. Ooh. We did actually speak about it in quite some depth.
Neil's in a good mood today, guys. I'm sure everyone can tell. So, but yeah, I mean, so we've spoke a bit about the statement from Steve Kavanagh the other day. He called it a column. It was a statement, isn't it? I suppose in every sense of purposes.
No, sorry. Can I pick you up on something? It was actually propaganda that Joseph Goebbels would have been proud of.
There you go. Well.
Allegedly.
Well,
there's no allegedly about it. It was a piece of propaganda from the club.
That's all
it was. Yeah, well, as you said, it is what it is. It was a PR exercise.
It is. It's a sales pitch.
Therefore, it is a piece of propaganda.
The club always makes lots of, gets good revenue from early bird tickets. So they just want to make sure that, they're going to get, loads of people in. It'll be interesting to see the figures for early birds. And I hope not just us, but I hope throughout all the clubs that, that it works in the right way, that come August, September, we are out of lockdown and we are moving forward and there is no risk of further lockdowns, and then football can go back. But I think it will be football, as I said earlier, not as we know it. It will be a different effect. But yeah, hopefully they bring back loads of different roles. Hopefully they bring back loads of the rules what are there and
actually, I'm not so sure. Actually, Mick. Yeah, I'm not so sure, because what's the point of the vaccine? By then, everybody would have been vaccinated up.
Yeah, but for the vaccine,
the only thing I think you won't see, and I can't see it for next season. Yeah, as Gavin said, everybody's going to be vaccinated. I can't see away fans being allowed in, not for the first 2 or 3 months of the season.
Yeah, possibly, but the vaccine again, there's loads of questions.
I mean, lads, let's be honest. Who the fuck really knows? We can all just hope, right? We can all be hopeful.
But the vaccine, what both me and Neil have had, the Oxford one, is only about 24% effective against the South African, and also it's, they don't even know what it is effectiveness against the Brazilians. So that's where I think the government are going to end up getting us by the bollocks, is by all the new fucking
strains. Just close the borders then, and that's not let anyone in from a red zone country.
Don't let anyone in at all. Just don't let anyone in at all.
Let's steer this on to modern day Millwall, please, guys, and talk about Gary Rowett talking about something that I'm quite for. He's against it, but it seems, or quote unquote, for the sake of it, young players and giving them their debuts to impress in the team. So again, speaking to News at Den, I think John Kelly's been quite busy this week with him by the sounds of it and by the looks of it. But he's mentioning obviously about the idea of young players playing. And the headline of this is he will not blood in some of the Mills Academy players in the first team for the sake of it, even if promotion or relegation ends early this season. He mentions one player that he thinks is close to being involved, and that's Junior Tientia, the left wing back, who I'm sure, he's mentioned Hayden Muller and Tyler Bury in this as well, and obviously he gave him debuts. But I think he's not really looking to play players for the sake of playing them. Not something I was technically saying, Neil, but what do you make of that? Obviously, he's saying even if there's nothing to play for, he's not going to bring in any of the youngster players to see what they're made of. I mean, that's what I take it as personally.
Yeah, with Tientia, I think will play tomorrow, won't he? Because Scott Malone's on loan from Derby, so
interesting.
I guess that he's actually been cup tied or whatever you want. He can't play against his parent club, is what I'm saying. It is interesting. I think. Yeah, but he's obviously got his own opinions. He's paid to manage Millwall. He lives and dies by that, doesn't he? Let's face it. Yeah. After watching some of the performances in the last few weeks, I don't want to watch much more of it. If I'm actually quite frank, it has been absolutely fucking depressing. So, what's he really honestly got to lose? He can blood some of these players. And let's see what they can do. Yeah. Tientia, or whatever he's called, I'd rather see him play tomorrow rather than Shane Ferguson, who isn't going to be around next season. Yeah. I think Shane Ferguson's out of contract at the end of the season. He hasn't signed a new one yet. So the chances of him staying are pretty remote. Yeah. We are safe. I think we are safe. So I can't see what he's really got to lose. Let's give the likes of Bury and that a go. Hayden Muller, possibly, at some stage. And, yeah, but let's see if they're any good. That's all we're asking for.
I'm going to go on the limb and say it right now. Shane Ferguson starts tomorrow. I'm going to say it right now. And I think Tienza should start, but Shane Ferguson starts tomorrow. Despite not having a contract for next season, probably going to be leaving. Shane Ferguson starts tomorrow. Just the same reason Bud Farson starts up front when, he might want to try and move him out in the summer. I know he's got another year.
If Ferguson starts tomorrow, I'm personally going to do a podcast after tomorrow night, especially if we lose, yeah? And I'll be calling for Rowett to be fucking hung. Yeah, because tomorrow is an ideal opportunity to play a kid that has been on the bench for 3 or 4 games now, maybe 2 or 3, who knows. Yeah, and let's just see what he can do.
I think a lot of people agree, though. So, Barry saying here, said this weeks ago, nothing to lose, makes no fucking sense. Not involving them, surely experience is key. Joe said it as well, talking of youngsters. What about Tienza? Gavin agrees with Neil. Keith's also saying once we're safe, well, I mean, I feel like we're safe already. He'll play the kids. He needs to know if they can make the grade or not. This is my point as well. And I think when Neil's talking about, it's dull to watch, there's not a lot of excitement around it. Obviously, we can't go to the game, so we're tuning into iFollow. We're paying our subscriptions to watch it. And, you're sitting there watching the game thinking, this isn't a good watch. Whereas if you saw 3 or 4 youngsters in there that were keen to make an impression to earn the shirt, I saw Jed Wallace in the week talking about Danny McNamara and Ben Thompson, how their kits were the most dirtiest he's ever seen after Huddersfield away. When you watch them players, we all identify with them. I think it's something to hold on to when the football's dull to watch. So I have to agree. I think,
I agree with Richard. I mean, look, you've got kids sitting there. If you don't want them, then you've got to let them have a couple of games so that the agents can see him, or so that the scouts can see him a bit and see what they're capable of. Because if you're not going to play them and keep them, in the academy, then your investment in them and all that time and effort you put into them is wasted. Because I've got no idea what's happening with the strikers from the under-23s, why they're not getting a chance in the first team, even if it's 20 minutes here, 20 minutes here, just as seeing if they can do a change.
Yeah, well, Alexander's been banned, hasn't he? George Alexander. He was banned for 3 games, I think.
Yeah, but 3 games. So, I mean, how many games?
He's 3 under-23 games.
Yeah.
Probably. And he's probably only played 2. Did we have an under-23 game this week? I'm not sure. But I do actually agree with...
We had one last week and saw the man advertise that he's breaking lockdown rules by going to watch it, which, I don't think...
I do actually agree with David Taylor, actually, where he says he thinks that Rowett is too stubborn. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I totally agree. He's so stubborn, he won't change his ways. But
would you be that stubborn, though, if you're, realistically, the fans are on the verge of going for him, and if the fans are in the stadium now, he would be getting dog shit abuse week in, week out. And would you risk bedding youngsters for, to suddenly go from now to the end of the season that we don't win a game? And then all of a sudden, those youngsters are accounted for it, he's accounted for it, or, you know, we're not saying that we want to bring in the whole under-23 team, but you know what? Why is it, you know, why couldn't you bring Alexander on, or the other guy? I can't think of his name now. Malik, is it? No, it's not Malik, is it? It's I can't think of his name.
Abdul Malik.
Abdul
Malik, yeah.
Yeah, but
you know, bring one of them in.
So can he?
But bring one of them in.
The bench for the under-23s.
Well, how about this one from Mick Saunders, which is also another article from Newsend this week. If you're listening, John Kelly, get in touch. But hope he gives Danny Mack a go. He spoke about competition for places and especially the right wing back position with more rotation expected this season. He says Danny McNamara might not have to wait much longer to be involved in the side, and he's stressing the need for energy as much as possible in the wing back positions. Obviously, Scott Malone's quite a prominent outlet on that left-hand side. Romeo's played the last 8 games, something we spoke about for quite a while now. Why is Romeo getting the nod over the last 8 games? McNamara came as a sub on last Saturday. I feel like McNamara will be back in tomorrow by the looks of it, if I'm reading between the lines, lads. But yeah, I mean, we spoke about why he's not playing him. I mean, hopefully McNamara gets a good run of games now and makes an impression, Neil. What do you reckon?
Shouldn't ever have been dropped in the first place, in my view. If he was injured or if he had a knock, yeah, that's fair enough. But to put him in for 3 or 4 games, or however many games he put him in for, he definitely impressed in those 3 or 4 games. To my mind, he's a better crossover ball than Marlon Romeo. He gives us a lot more in the final third than Marlon Romeo, who seems to go so far up the pitch. And if we're counter-attacked, we're fucked because he's nowhere to be found. Very, very, very unlucky, Danny McNamara. I defy anybody to say any different.
Maybe talking in a footballing sense and a business sense, you know, Romeo being contracted probably for next season. I don't know if he's contracted to be on next season. Maybe Mickey, he's playing him to remind people he's there, and if he plays a few good games and he thinks McNamara is the number 1 for next season to play that right back position, maybe he's thinking, if I can move Romeo on and get a fee for him to then reinvest in the squad, that could be an option, I suppose, maybe. You're on mute, Mickey.
Marlon Romeo will have an agent working behind the scenes, yeah? So if Millwall want rid of Marlon Romeo's agent will find Marlon Romeo a club.
That wasn't the point I was making, though.
The
point I was making when I asked Mickey there is if he plays, he's worth more than if he doesn't play. Because if he doesn't play, it's cheaper.
So.
That's football, no?
I disagree.
How much is Shane Ferguson worth to Millwall? Nothing, because he's not playing.
0.
How much is Scott Malone worth if we sign him? More than Shane Ferguson because he's playing. That's my point.
Well, to be honest, no. Well, Shane Ferguson isn't worth anything because he hasn't got that much time left on his contract.
Because he hasn't got a new contract because he's not playing.
And probably because he isn't actually good enough to get a new contract.
So he's worth nothing.
Yeah, but he's worth nothing because it's not how many games you play; it's how long you've got on your contract.
It's not about how many games you play. But my point to Mickey is if he plays no games between January and end of the season, he'll be worth less in the transfer market, in the summer market, compared to if he played 10 games.
No,
I think he personally would be. But
he wouldn't.
Go on, Mickey. I asked you the question, Mickey. What do you think about that?
I get the point you're making. I think you're right. I think, you know, it's the same as anything. If he's not playing, he's not fit, then the club what's taking him is going to take a bit of a risk. You know, you're not going to get 5 million for him if he's not playing. If he's playing, then you're more likely to get that more, or it could be a lot lower. I think there is. I don't think it's necessarily based all on his appearances or anything else, but I do think that if he is playing, you've got something to mark against and go, well, actually, you know, we think he's worth this because, look, he assisted here, he did this here, he did that there, rather than him sitting on a bench and you've got nothing to hold it up. There's no point quoting an assist he did 18 months ago and saying, actually, he done there and there. I think they'll end up getting rid of him. But again, only if the money's right, I think. I don't think they're going to let him go for now. But, you know...
You've announced it to Stephen Lloyd. Yeah, they haven't. They've actually got different agents.
If he's got the same agent as Fred, he's fucked.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't. I know the management group that Marlon's with.
But, you know, if he's got
Kevin
Fred's
Moran's management company, the old Manchester United player.
That's all right then, because at least then if he's got the same agent as Fred, then he's fucked.
No, he hasn't got the same agent.
I think this is it, though. I think, you know, I do think personally, if it's good to have the competition for the two places. Hopefully, McNamara comes back in and storms it. Hopefully, we win the next 3 or 4 games and we see a good performance from him on the right hand side, and he just makes sure that everyone's in no uncertain doubt that he's the one to take us forward. Hopefully, in that position. So yeah, I mean, we'll move forward to Derby County. I mean, we play them obviously tomorrow away at Pride Park. Last season, we won 1-0 there, if anyone remembers. I think it was Tom Bradshaw getting a contender for goal of the season, a decent volley where he took it over his shoulder and volleyed it past the keeper. When we was last allowed to go to away games, roughly. I think it was December 2019, if it sticks in the memory. But what are we expecting tomorrow, Mickey? Are you expecting a tough game? Obviously, same to the chat. What are you expecting from Derby County tomorrow? Obviously, we played them early in the season. We lost 1-0 when we was allowed a couple thousand fans in the game at the Den. What's your hopes for tomorrow, Mickey?
Well, I hope that we play for a draw or a win, and that we get something out of the game, because it's fucking piss poor watching us play the last couple of games. So, we need to go in there with, with a bit between the teeth. We need to go in there with something about us and go. And I don't think it's going to be big. I mean, Rooney's a cunt. So I think it's, I think we're probably looking at maybe 1-0, maybe 2-0, but I think it's not going to be massive.
If we're talking form table, Neil, last 5 games, it's 20th Millwall versus 21st Derby County. Millwall scoring 4 and conceding 6. Derby scoring 3 and conceding 6. And we've got the same record. Played 5, won 1 each, lost 2 and drew 2. What's your hopes tomorrow, mate? I think it's got 0-0 written all over it personally, but what do you reckon?
Right. I think that Wayne Rooney is a granny prosy shagging cunt. I think that Mickey missed the start off it.
I didn't miss nothing off. That was nil for the lawyers watching. Okay.
Yeah, Neil Fizzler and not any of the thoughts of
but
that
it's actually
podcast.
It's fact. It's fact. It is fact. It is fact. It is fact. Nothing else. It is fact. What do I think? Derby was actually one of my favourite away games. Yeah, I've got to be honest. Some very good memories are there. Saw Barry Hales. Anybody go to that one, the New Year's Day game?
Was that when he scored last minute?
He scored a hat-trick.
Oh, okay. I think I'm thinking of Wolves maybe when Barry Hales scored the last-minute winner for us, maybe. But
he scored a hat-trick, 3-1, a 3-1 win, I think it was. But it's always one of those grounds that's pretty easy to get to. Hour and 3/4 on the train from St Pancras, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Plenty of pubs in and around. Always actually quite lively, because we actually remind them that they closed all the coal mines down. And it's just one of those quite good away grounds you ever to go to, quite near the station. So you're back in London, fairly swiftish if you don't stay up there. But tomorrow, I want to be positive, yeah, but they've not really given us an awful lot to be positive about over the last few weeks, have they? Hopefully, the midweek off has done us some good. But I'd feel a little bit more confident going up there if we had some of the injured players back, if Keith was back.
Keith!
Yeah, exactly. Can George Evans play? Was that part of the agreement when we signed him? Did they insist that he couldn't play against them when we go back there? Because that means we've got Alex Pearce back in the side, doesn't it? So there's a whole load of things. I can't be positive. I think we're going to get done, and we're going to get done 2-3-0.
I'm more hopeful. I mean, based on absolutely nothing. So yeah, you can throw it back in my face and go, for what reason am I hopeful? I don't really know. I feel confident that Derby are in as much as bad form as we are, and we should hopefully have a bounce back, like you say, Neil, because we didn't play midweek. It's interesting you mentioned about away days at Derby being quite exciting and like good memories. Maybe for me, more recent times, like I remember that last game of the season under Jacket before he resigned. It was 0-0, and obviously I think Connor Salmon comes on. I'm coating him off to my mates, going, "Hey, shit, it's all right, we've got this." And then he scores, and at that point we're relegated. And I think then Palace, obviously Peterborough and Palace. I think Palace do us a favour and relegate Peterborough that day for us. So my memories of Derby are not necessarily as great. I remember going there just before Christmas, and Adam's in the chat, but we always talk about it. The game before Christmas away from home, we always get coated 3-0, and we did that day as well. And I think that was a shitter. That wasn't great. But yeah, I mean, I suppose the more recent times has been a good hunting ground for us. A couple of 1-0 wins in the last 2 trips to Pride Park. So I'm hopeful. I think, you're right. Injuries are still a problem, but I think he's going to change formation tomorrow. Personally, I can see a change up there. And we'll talk about my team in a minute, maybe. But I'm hopeful that we can maybe give him a better game.
What have you been smoking?
I'm hopeful. I'm always hopeful for Millwall. I don't know why. It's the Friday before a game. I'm always hopeful. I sit there and I'll tell you it, and I'll go, we're going to win tomorrow. Come 3:05 on Saturday, I'm brought that down to earth, and this is why I need to be at the games, because I'm normally had a few by then, and I'm like, well, let's go and get a drink, get an early drink at half time. So, that's why it matters. But I'm always hopeful the Friday before a game. I can't help it. I'm always confident.
I just can't see it the way we've been playing. Yeah, I just really can't see it the way we've been playing, and you just know that Lee Gregory is gonna. A lot of people have mentioned it in the chat. You can just see Lee Gregory getting one of them, can't you?
I just think it's going to be 0-0. There you go. I'll say it. I'm saying I'm hopeful, but I'll take a 0-0 tomorrow as well, to be honest with you, at this point. As long as we don't get battered and, it doesn't cause turmoil online, I'll take a 0-0. But yeah, there you go. I think that's what it was from Gavin here, this game that I was mentioning there. It was 3-0 down after 20 minutes. Absolutely piss poor game at Christmas time, and just thought, well, what's the point of that journey? And then go and have an early beer. That's pretty much it. Charlie here saying Gregory's missed 2 pens and we nick it last minute through Bennett. I love that prediction. Joe Zampa, it'll be a cagey game, but both teams low on confidence, and we end up a draw, 0-0 or 1-1. I think I'm going to share that. I mean, Mickey, you going to give us a prediction? You going to agree with that?
I think he's there. Or we're just going to nick it with a 1-0, or 1-0. I think we're just I think we probably nick it, but yeah, I can't see being a lot in it. It's not, you watch tomorrow, we're going to get spanked fucking 5-0 or something. Do you know what I mean?
2-2 from Alan, 2-1 loss from David Taylor. Interesting prediction, David. I think you're probably in Neil Fizzler's camp at the moment, ain't you? I think the pair of you, but 1-1 from Gavin. 1-0.
Yeah, but look at Barry's comment towards the bottom.
Barry, what he said here? More chance of me getting my leg over. But else winning tomorrow. Yeah.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. There's more chance for us getting in a boozer.
Well, make sure you tell us next week, Barry. Make sure you tell us next week if you manage to do it this weekend, don't you? So, yeah. and Darren's got the right idea there, though, isn't he? Look, it's true. We can't play any fucking worse than we did last week, mate. We were dog shit. Hence why we didn't. Yeah. Hence why we didn't do a show, and hence why we thought, fuck it, we won't really talk about it at the beginning of the show because it was dog shit and we didn't need to be reminded of it. So, yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? We'll wait and see. Let's see how fucking shit we are.
I think he plays to a 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-2. I think he changed it up tomorrow. I don't know what you two think, but I think with also Malone not being available, I think there was murmurings of potentially Murray Wallace coming back. And that could also be an option if he does make it in time for if he passes.
I wouldn't want to see Murray Wallace start the game because how long's he been out for? 2 months. Yeah, big risk that is. I'd just rather he just played the kid there. Just play the kid there. Let's see what he can do. Play the fucking kid.
Could he play McNamara at left wing back or Romeo at left wing back? Is that an option, chaps? Do you reckon, or what does the chat think?
No, well, Romeo's too right-footed, isn't he?
Well, it could be then McNamara in there.
Have you ever seen him use his left foot? Have you ever seen McNamara use his left foot? I think I'd like to see Tienza play there, but I don't know. You seem to think that Ferguson would play there 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think this is what Rowe will go for. I've got to be honest. If Morris isn't fit and he has a choice between Tienza and Ferguson, I think he goes with Ferguson. It's a safer option for him, isn't it?
Yeah, Richard Lacey's got on the predictions very early again.
Oh, mate. Alan Smith, mate.
Richard, you were definitely not well, mate. But then again, the last time you predicted a 4-4, I think we scored 4 goals, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, Romeo has been left back before, apparently, according to Billy Pork. Romeo has been played at left back there before.
Fair enough.
Joe saying the same thing. I'd love to see Tienza there. Go on then, Neil. Give me your team for tomorrow. Your preferred 11. Don't think about what I would play. What would you play tomorrow? Come on. Give me it. Give me it.
Come to Mickey. I need to write it down.
Mickey, do you want me to go first, or are you going to give me a start 11 for tomorrow?
Yeah, you go first.
Right. Okay. I'll go Bielkowski in goal. I would go with a back four. I would play Danny Mack at right back. I would play Hutchinson and Cooper, centre half pairing. I would then play Tienza left back. I would play Evans alongside. Oh, this is a tough one now, isn't it? If it was me, I would play Evans and Mitchell in the middle. Mitchell bobbing on, Evans sitting deep, because then Evans could then maybe try and, support the back two, so to speak, and Hutchinson and Cooper. I would then play a three behind the striker of Bennett on the left, Wallace on the right. And then I would probably play Ben Thompson behind the striker. And the striker would be, for me, oh, see, this is going to get shit, lads. How can you pick this Millwall team? It's so impossible to pick it at the moment. I'm going to say it, Bud Farton up top.
Right. I would agree with you, but we all know that Ryan Woods will play.
Yep.
So it'll be Woods instead of Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with you until there. And as for the striker...
Yeah, exactly. It's unbearable, isn't it? I've seen Bradshaw's apparently fit after his Achilles niggle. So would you play Bradshaw, considering he scored a goal there last season?
I'd play anyone there above fucking Bavardson.
Do you know what it is with Bud Farson, right? And I know for good reason you're not a Bud Farson's fan, but the thing is with Bud Farson that gives me just a little glimmer, not even hope, just glimmer, is he can bring the ball down. And his link-up play is better than most of our strikers. So if you play a single man up front and he's mobile, that's the only thing going through. I'm not saying he's going to score us goals. I'm not saying he's going to, be the match winner for us. However, if he makes the ball stick, you play it over to him, he'll bring it down on his chest. He'll try and then bring in on-running players, the likes of Wallace and Bennett or Thompson if it's behind him as well. That's the only reason why I would play Bud Farton out of all the strikers we've got at the moment. Sahor's injured. I guess he'd play if it was me, but yeah, it's difficult. And I think it'll be interesting to see how we do without Malone tomorrow, because obviously Malone being...
No. Get that off the screen, Mick. Come on. I've said some controversial things in my time. Yeah. I think we will all agree. But Charlie, shouldn't it be the other way around?
Well, yeah, look, Barry knows about I think Barry, I saw a comment there, I got just removed, but Barry was, there it is, 15 next season. If Bud Farson gets 15 next season, the favourite streak. I'm so confident, honestly, Bud Farson will never score 15 goals for Millwall ever in a season. It would never happen.
Tell him, mate, we need to do a fucking. we need to do a group up, mate.
Fucking career.
We need to get a group up, mate. We need to bribe the opposition for that one, mate. Let him have 15 goals over a couple of games, mate, and then fucking watch Omar streak down the blue. The
irony is, though, everyone's talking about Woods, and I know we spoke about Woods copious amounts of times this season. I think he would play well in a 4-2-3-1. I think he would play well with a Billy Mitchell next to him. And I think he played okay on Saturday, all things considered. I know we weren't great, but first off, I thought him and Mitchell were linking up quite well together. And I know we couldn't really talk about the game afterwards because we didn't do the show. And to be honest with you, if we'd done a show, it would be doom and gloom. It feels doom and gloom now, and it's not even the game yet. So, this is what it's like at the moment to be a Millwall fan, I think. And we're capturing that. This is it. But I do think Woods with a midfield of like maybe Mitchell and Thompson, players that can do the running for him and he can sit deep, I think that could work. And then you've got Tienza and maybe McNamara like bombing on beside him and he can sit deep. I don't see why that couldn't work personally. But yeah, I'm not personally Woods' biggest fan this season, but it's one of those ones, isn't it? Go on, one of you two take the floor.
I don't know. I'm not Woods' biggest fan either. I think Woods is a Marmite player, but when he does come on, he plays well. Would I, with some of the people on Twitter saying, "No, he's a fucking, he's our best player," this and that? Fucking hell, mate, keep taking the drugs. He's not great for us at all, And talking about stuff he's done in his career years back, is one thing, but. I think we play differently when he ain't in the team.
It's one thing saying he's our best player. It's another thing saying he is the most efficient player in the side. When people are saying he's our best player, they're saying he's a Paul Scholes for Man United. You know what I mean? As in, Paul Scholes wasn't Man United's best player, but he was the most appreciated for being the best footballer. And I think a lot of people say that about Ryan Woods, where Woods could get the ball and you could tell him where to stick it, and on a sixpence, he's probably the best player in the side to do that. And that's it. I think with Woods, though, it's same as what Scholes had. You know, Scholes had players around him that would do that would make up for him. I'm not comparing him to Scholes, but I think, you know, a lot of people.
The only thing they've got in common is they're both ginger.
There you go. Well, there's another one.
Yeah, but to be quite frank,
nothing.
Yeah, but that's where the comparison ends.
But I think Woods doesn't play to Millwall's system. Woods doesn't fit into the way we're playing with 3 centre-halves behind him. That's what I personally think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. He needs to have a different formation, or the best formation is probably Woods on the bench, if I'm honest. But we'll have to wait and see where we go with it. Do you know what I mean? But
Woods, at one time in his career, played right back for Brentford, filled in there a couple of times, and I think for Shrewsbury as well. There's a thought for you guys. I remember seeing that before.
You play right back in the dressing room.
Well, there you go. But like, you know, and Gavin, you're saying comparing Woods to Scholes. I'm not comparing. I'm saying that the same way people looks at him. People look at Woods, and Millwall fans look at Woods. When Woods got that assist the other week, and for Bennett's goal, and we won the game. Who was it against? I can't even remember. When Woods got the assist, everyone was like, "There he is, the best player in the world, the best player to ever play at the Den." It's like that reaction was because everyone was waiting for that moment to jump on it and go, "He's actually done something to contribute to a goal."
Yeah, were they special needs by any chance? These people,
Neil, honestly, everyone was reacting on Twitter.
They weren't.
Everyone was calling him the Ginger Perlo,
ball. Yeah, but it was a decent ball. It was a decent ball. Yeah, nothing. Yeah, but nothing more, nothing worse than that. Really, it's what he should be able to do. Yeah, but if you're going to believe everything that's on Twitter, fucking hell.
I'm not saying I believe what's on Twitter. I'm saying this is what people talk about him.
What do you mean? Listen, Twitter's real. Don't ruin the myth.
Real?
Yeah, no, Twitter is real. Don't ruin the myth. The wokey left and everyone else, mate. Twitter is real. It's real life. Don't ever. Oh, you can't make those accusations, mate. Come on, Neil. Do you know what I mean? Come on. It's real life and everything else. So yeah. It's look, Twitter, Facebook, everything, mate. It is what it is. You've got to take it as it is. And, you know, people will always give you an opinion what we don't always agree with. But, you know, to come out with Woods is the best player is, you know, mad.
I think it. I know. I generally, a lot of people really
have you seen anything to sit there and go, yeah, he is? I mean, how much do you reckon Woods is worth?
Oh, you're talking about valuations now. I mean...
Yeah.
Me and Neil had back and forth there already.
You reckon he's worth $5 million?
Stoke paid £5 million for
is he worth $5 million now?
No chance.
Would you value?
He's probably worth about £500,000.
Would you value him higher or lower than Romeo?
Ooh. I would say Romeo would be valued just a bit more than Ryan Woods in the current market, because Romeo is a couple of years younger than him and plays in a right back position that I think you could probably is more sought after than a central midfielder, where you could probably get more options.
You could probably get about £500,000 for Ryan Woods, and I think you're probably looking at around about the same for Marlon Romeo, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to get anything more for Romeo, it's potential value, isn't it? And
I think a lot of people say here, you know, Gavin saying $500,000, packet of fags from Barry from there. Free in the summer from Richard. He's not free in the summer. He's got another year left on his contract at Stoke City. So that's that burst the myth. What's the right word I'm looking for there? But yeah, Woods is worth a packet of cheese and onion crisps. Romeo $400,000 from Gavin, so that's a little bit less than what he values at Ryan Woods.
He definitely isn't worth a packet of fruit pastels.
Now that's quite an interesting one there.
Oh no, please no.
I think,
but who would sign Romeo? That's a good point.
But there's much better players in the same position, isn't there?
Who would sign Marlon Romeo? Marlon Romeo falls in the exact same category as who would sign Scott Malone when we sold Scott Malone to Cardiff. And then Scott Malone went to Cardiff. And we looked at Malone thinking, you know, we'll have him or not have him. The exact same way now as we did, and we're looking at Marlon Romeo now.
I couldn't actually believe that that somebody paid £8 million for Scott Malone, didn't they? Yeah, we didn't Huddersfield pay an absolute
It wasn't 8 million, I don't think. Maybe a couple million.
king's ransom. No,
Well,
it wasn't. It was a hell of a lot of money.
I don't think it was 8 million. If it was 8 million, I'd be surprised. I think a couple million. But then he also ended up playing in the Premier League for Fulham, Scott Malone, and Huddersfield. So the same good thing could happen to Romeo, and I wouldn't be surprised. I think the most Malone's ever gone for, I'd say, is a couple million, Neil. But I'm happy to be proven wrong. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, I mean, I think we've almost ran our course. I think I'm going to wait to see Neil fact check this because I want to see it, and I want him to not apologise, but say I was right when he sees it's not £8 million. £8 million for Scott Malone? What would you pay that for at one point in his career, Mickey?
No.
So that Gavin mentioned about Bart and Cooper, most important to us. Who's our most valuable asset at the club? Jake Cooper?
That's a good question. I would probably say, I would probably say Jake Cooper, to be fair. Well, or Bart.
It's an undisclosed fee.
Oh, hide them behind undisclosed fees. But we know undisclosed fees.
Sorry, who's our most
valuable?
Yeah, Jake Cooper.
Jake Cooper or Bart, innit?
Or Jed Wallace, obviously. But I think Jake Cooper's the most.
Jed Wallace. It'll be Wallace or Cooper. Goalkeepers traditionally outside the Premier League don't go for big money.
Yeah, but not as in currency, as in valuation that way. It's in most important to Millwall.
Yeah, as our most important player to us.
Yeah,
Bart all day long.
For me, I think if Cooper went to Rangers when it was spoken about, in the past, I reckon Cooper would have gone for maybe £6, £7, £8 million easily. Because you look at some of the players that they've since signed as well,
it was between 5 and 10, wasn't it?
If you're Millwall, you wouldn't at the time. You wouldn't have accepted less than £5 million at a minimum. And I think maybe Wallace, you probably could say in the market, probably would be worth a little bit more if he was, playing to the form he was playing at last season at that point. So maybe Wallace would be 10 million.
Probably worth between 8 and 10 million. I think you could easily get for Jed Wallace. I think as being our most valuable player to us, I think it's Bart, because I think he actually saves us a lot more points than he actually costs.
How about this question before we wrap up here, lads?
I think that's a good question for
which player can step
international
up to the Premiership right now? I mean, we'll talk about it right now, and then we'll talk about international break as well then. Quick fire question. Who can step up to the Premier League in the Millwall squad right now, Mickey? Go on, you go.
Jed could probably do it. And possibly, I don't know, possibly Evans.
Cooper could. In a team that's a Sheffield United, say, a Fulham.
Lower end team,
yeah.
I shoehorn a lot of our players. I shoehorn a lot of our players into Burnley's squad because Neil Harris built a squad based on Sean Dyche's methods and how he ran a football club. And I think I shoehorn a lot of our players. And I think Cooper and Wallace are the two that I would say, if they went to Burnley, they would do a job. If Cooper was to go anywhere else in the Premier League, maybe Sheffield United is an exception there, maybe, but they would quickly get found out because, they're not good with the ball at their feet. A lot of clubs like to play football, like passing it around. Whereas Burnley, I would look. Neil Harris tried to replicate what Sean Dyche done at Burnley, and he used to talk about it a lot when he was our manager, Neil Harris. So I think
also say Bart potentially, potentially. But the thing about the Premier League is that I personally think he's a lot better than a lot of goalkeepers you see in the Premier League, especially ones that come from some far-flung non-EC country, And,
Barry.
Liverpool,
for Liverpool. Well, I tell you what, I will personally pay for John Sitton to drive him up there.
Right, before we wrap up, what have we got coming up on our pod this week? Have we got an Uncensoredand lined up for this week? Have we at the moment, lads?
We possibly have. If not, we've got a Who Are You? One or the other it will be.
What I haven't told you is I have actually arranged a Into the Lions den on Wednesday morning.
Well, let's not say who it is for the moment in case it doesn't come to fruition at the moment. So
yeah, but he has let me down twice before, but he did actually phone me at 11:30 last night and apologise.
And with a bit of luck, if Millwall put on a performance that at least makes us want to talk about it, we'll be back tomorrow night with a few more bits and bobs. Go on, Mickey.
Listen, if you lot have an opinion, which you do on here, you can go on our website after the game, which is, that Millwall podcast, www.thatmillwallpodcast.co.uk. And right at the top of the page, there is a button where you can leave us a voice message. It's completely anonymous. We ain't got a clue who you are. You just press it, record it while you're on your phone, on your laptop, whatever you want. But if you do that after the game, then basically when we record the show over the weekend, Omar will put your voices on the show at the end of the show. So if you want to hear yourself on one of the podcasts, then that's the easiest way to do. And if you want to get involved in a show, if you want to come on here and have your vent your spleen or get involved in one of the other shows, again, there is a button on there. And also there's a button on there for quite a few other bits and pieces. So check out the website. It hopefully will guide you. And those of you who listen to us on YouTube and not really into podcast or don't have the first idea about podcasts, again, go on the website and you'll find that there's a few different players on there. There's Apple, there's Spotify, and there's our own one. And you'll be able to listen to all the back shows. And remember, if you listen to us on YouTube or you want to check us out on YouTube, just make sure to subscribe, because most of the people who watch us or get involved don't yet subscribe. And our numbers are close to 200 and we're moving. So if we can break the 200 mark this weekend, that'd be superb. And tell your mates and get more people on there, because the higher the number we get. It's like playing Mario, brother, isn't it? The more chips you get, mate, the more benefits you open up. So it's all good fun.
Well said, Mickey. I think Neil's itching to say something. So go on, Neil.
Can I just say that I will commit to do a show tomorrow night, and if there's anybody in the chat who wants to do it, if Mickey and Omar aren't available, hit us up on Twitter, and we'll actually do a show with you after the game tomorrow night, talking about that game, if Omar and Mickey aren't available. And if they are available and you want to come on and join the three of us, superb. But I will do a show tomorrow night if somebody else wants to come on and wants to talk about it, if you two aren't available.
Cool. Well, we'll leave it there. Thanks as always for tuning in, guys. Mickey obviously said everything you need to do. If you haven't done it already, be sure to subscribe. And we'll be back soon. Cheers, guys.